Welcome back to another special Prime Cuts episode of Chopping It Up. As Sled season winds to a close, we have a couple more episodes handpicked by the inimitable Michael Sled himself. On the docket for tonight is writer, director, and producer Ryan Coogler's 2025 smash vampire horror hit, Sinners. Brief synopsis is as follows. In 1932, identical twins and World War I veterans Elijah Smoke and Elias Stack Moore returned to Clarksdale, Mississippi after spending 7 years in Chicago working for mobster Al Capone. Using money stolen from various criminal syndicates, they purchase a sawmill from a local landowner to start a juke joint for the local black community. Their younger cousin Sammy, an aspiring blues musician, joins them despite his pastor father Jedediah's warnings about the sins of blues music. If you're interested in watching this one, it's now available via HBO Max or whatever the hell it's called these days. As a reminder, Prime Cuts is designed as a quick-hitting freeform conversation where we discuss a breadth of horror mediums, including anthologies, theatrical releases, graphic novels, shorts, and other forms of media. There's no set agenda here as we shoot from the hip and provide any gleaned insights from our respective viewings. Okay, fellas, this is a big one, and I know we've been circling it for a while, at least since it came out, and we've finally decided to chop this one up. I feel like there are going to be a lot of hot takes, so let's lead with the hot take king. Sled, give the sled heads what they want.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, man. Just wait. Was this your first time seeing it? I can't remember. No, you'd already seen it.
I mean, I've seen it now a bunch of times.
Okay.
Mostly because I kept rewatching it to see if there was something I was missing. Because the reviews that I've seen, I see people like talking about like, oh, this should get nominated for an Academy Award. This should be, and I'm watching it and I'm like, this movie's kind of a fucking mess. Like it has like some good stuff in it, but then there's like things it does that are just inconsistent or don't make sense from a plot standpoint to me and are kind of all over the place. And like, anytime I've seen a critique of it or a criticism of it, usually on the social media responses I've seen, I'm like, well, if you think this movie is about vampires, then, you missed the point, or this movie wasn't. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like almost none of the horror movies are about like whatever, like, Friday the 13th is not about Jason Voorhees. Like, there's stuff that's going on in almost every horror movie that's deeper than that. That doesn't negate the fact that it's just, there's I would say plot holes to me.
I would say I agree with you. I do agree with you, but I don't know if using Jason Voorhees is the best example. Isn't it just about Jason Voorhees or no?
No, I mean, it's about like sex. I mean, it's all the undertones of stuff of why why he's doing the things and stuff like horror as a genre in general, I feel like is rife with, artistic undertones. I mean, that's part of why it's such an interesting genre, is it often gets dismissed by people who don't watch it a lot as being like dumb movies. But, it's not like Marvel. It's not like a bunch of movies that have there's a lot of subversive stuff typically in it. And that's like a traditional thing. So the idea that somehow elevates this movie in a certain way is, I mean, it's kind of silly. It's from a discussing horror in general perspective, but then also like a lot of what they do is very like, I just felt like it's heavy handed and too on the nose, but then also inconsistent on how they carried it out, to where it was just like, it felt like an assembly of, we want to make a point about something and we don't have a way, there's no subtle way we're doing it. And it's just kind of like slapped together as this big piece.
Well, you know, like to that point, we'll get to you, Jeannie, and Joel in a second, but just like saying that, I read somewhere early on in the research for this that in box office theatrical releases, 2 hours and 20 minutes is the like golden time. Anything from that point on, the movie theaters lose like a release time, like the next viewing or whatever. So the idea was you got to cut something from this to get it under 220. Now this comes in at 2 hours and 17 minutes, I think, something like that, which means Coogler for sure had to cut a ton of shit. Now, I don't know. It's not going to explain the internal inconsistencies.
That could help explain it a lot, because when I watch it, I mean, there's still stuff. Well, it felt like there's pieces here that they could have done more with that they didn't. So it's like I don't know if that got cut, but then also there's certain things that just still don't make a ton of sense just from a plot narrative, but it felt very rushed. Like it seemed like it had kind of a slower build, like setting up the scenario. Then all of a sudden it was like, hurry, hurry, hurry! Oh, now we've got a big vampire fight, and then
Yeah,
you know,
I will say
then
there
there's
were.
this ram. Oh, go ahead.
I will say that yeah, there are pacing issues. I mean, I don't know how it could be too long and too short at the same time, but it definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
Let's jump real quick to Jeannie and Joel first impressions. Jeannie, what did you had you seen it before or no?
I hadn't seen it before. I watched it. I can't remember when I watched it. I wish I had rewatched it before this, but I watched it recently because I remember when we were all talking about it on the thread.
Right.
And I think my first impression was kind of that. Like I was like, it feels all over the place. Right. And then I hear and read all this great stuff about like how it was received or how it wasn't received, right? In terms of like awards. Um, I think there was so much there that I wanted to know more about because it did almost feel like two parts of a story, right? Because you introduce Smoke and Stack and you're like, I want to know more about what's going on with them. And you know a little bit. And then the whole back half is like this whole vampire thing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like the beginning is one movie and then the end is kind of a different one. And I like the concepts of both of them.
Yeah.
I just wanted them to be better.
Yeah. If you're gonna,
I mean, I felt like it could have been a lot more. That's what, like, more of the thing that I took away was like I felt like it could have been what people are talking about. I just don't feel like it got there.
Do you feel like I'll just go ahead and to my haterade here? I really dislike Michael B. Jordan. I think he's wildly overrated as an actor. And I kind of feel like if he wasn't the main, basically the two mains, right? He's the two protagonists, the main protagonists, the twin brothers. I feel like if it wasn't him, if you just had two other guys in there, that it might have added some verisimilitude, some sort of grittiness to it. But the characters they were supposed to be, all I saw was like a preening, posing, handsome, chiseled guy who is like trying to play a Steve McQueen or a Paul Newman or a Denzel Washington or like these actual stud cool dudes who are effortlessly cool. It just reeked of effort for me. And maybe it was just me, but I just kept zeroing in on them as like distracting more than adding to it. Was that just me or Sled?
No, I mean, there's definitely effort put into like trying to make the character. I mean, there's the brothers are, to their credit, they are pretty different. So I think he actually did a pretty decent job of portraying both. Now, I don't know what the actual execution behind the scenes of making that happen was, but
I know a little bit about it.
I mean, like I said, I watched this movie a bunch of times at this point, and like I do think he did an okay job of like differentiating them to where you like watched it and you thought of them as actually like there's two different brothers, not the same guy. I don't know if it's at the level of like, I don't know if you ever saw Legend with Tom Hardy.
No, I haven't.
Played the Cray twins, who were real life.
He plays the two brothers,
gangsters from the UK, and like his portrayal is very like it's like whoa, like he did a really good job. Like you totally forget that it's like the same guy playing him. But I don't know if it's at that level. But I think he did a decent job. I mean, I think the issue is more like the plot and like but there was like a lot of wasted space on trying to like, I don't know. These guys are so cool going on that was unnecessary. Like it was almost like it's like, you know, it's like when you're writing, you're like, and they're saying it rather than showing it, right? Like there was a lot of like they could have like worked it in there better, and it wasn't so much just, you know, like exposition feeling almost.
So Coogler has said, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Sorry, I had some technical difficulties there for a minute. But Coogler said in this article that I was reading in The Guardian that he spent about 2 months cobbling together this script. Those are the That's the phrasing from the article, not me. So it was a rush script, and like to your point, Michael, about the show not tell, like the thread about Al Capone. Like, I don't understand why we are told that kind of information, but we don't see a scene with it, right? Or some, you know what I mean? Like, it just don't have it unless it's building like a larger, which I think he might have been trying to do, build a larger universe so he could have shows and things like that, or spin-offs. And I don't know. I don't think
that was like one of those things where like the Capone nod was a like, you know, an opposite of the less is more kind of like, I get like, okay, they were supposed to be in Chicago, but don't try and like, I don't know. It's like, it's like you're adding something, but then it's not going anywhere. Like,
well, you could easily, I think, have done the Tarantino thing, which was similar to when he came out with Kill Bill, which was originally one giant movie that was 3.5 hours long. And the same situation arose with the production companies and theaters. Were just like, no, we're not showing a 3.5 hour movie. You're going to bump all the other times we have for the day for other movies, broke it up into 2 movies, right? Why not do that? I feel like then you can really flesh out the stuff you want to flesh out. And then like Jeannie, you're saying you got these 2 different, starkly different, there was a turn about halfway through the movie becomes a different movie. Like you might break those up into 2 different movies, which would be really cool. Like this period genre piece to start. And then all of a sudden, the beginning of the second movie, you're fucking thrown into a vampire horror movie. You know, I don't know. Yeah. It might've worked better.
No, I think that could have worked.
Yeah. And I think they took so much care in the research that they did for that time period, right? Like with the Chinese grocers and everything, like, I feel like there was like so much rich material, and they did a really good job with like the research and being accurate with it, that gets lost because there's just so much else going on, right? There's so many different ways that you can delve down, which I think you're right. Maybe that was the setup to do, okay, so let's do a whole prequel where we find out what Smoke and Stack are doing in Chicago, right?
Yeah. I think it reminds me a little of some of Barker's stuff when we watched that, where he was like building a universe, and you're like, I don't want to sound like I disliked the movie. I like the movie. I actually think it's a pretty good movie. It's definitely enjoyable, but Jesse, I think you kind of said it, where it suffers from simultaneously being too long and too short, right? Like it's too long. Like they could have trimmed out 15, 20 minutes, and I think it would be better as a standalone, or make it 4 hours long, and I'll pay the money.
I mean, kudos to Coogler. And I'm not a Marvel guy, so I have no real. I mean, I know I saw Fruitvale Station in the theaters, and but kudos to him for this big aspirational, sweeping vision that he had for this movie to be a big movie. But I think
it's a huge swing.
Yeah, it does itself a disservice, I think, maybe actually in part because of that. But should we tackle the, I know most of this is going to deal with the obvious black-white stuff that the movie is really about. I know once we get into that, it will get really deep. But is there anything else that I mean, like, let's start here actually, because Joel and I were talking earlier, and I thought, we're going to talk about, cultural appropriation and slavery and Jim Crow and all of those kinds of things that this movie is rife with. But like the other, if that's 60% or 70%, the other 30 or 40% is like vampire stuff. Right. With our background, with Lost Boys and all the other vampire stuff. And I'm sure you guys have seen Blade. I never saw Blade, but like all the million, and we're doing for our main ep, a little plug. We're doing main ep. We're doing Blackula and Vampire in Brooklyn. So we're on a vampire kick now. Where do you think this fell as far as quote unquote vampire movies, which we know it's bigger than that, but like, as far as the vampire stuff, did that do it for you guys? Did you like
it?
Remick?
Did, but I wanted more. Again, like I wanted more. Yeah. Like I thought it was really clever. I'm trying to remember. I should have watched it again. Did we ever get the history behind the vampires?
We don't. So there is a scene. So I'll tell you this real quick because I'm a lunatic, and I decided to look it up.
Yeah.
From the things that he says, right? Like basically that the English forced their god
debate
that had
about how old he's supposed to be, right? Like,
yeah, you can guess he was. So Christianity was forced on the Irish in 432 AD. So he would be
that
like
wouldn't have been
whatever
the
that is,
English, right?
1600. What's that?
That wouldn't have been the English that far back.
No, that wasn't. That was supposedly St. Patrick. But yeah. So, and then the English later would have forced the English language in 15 something, right? So he's like a 1600-year-old vampire, right? I thought he was good. Like, I think almost everybody's acting in this movie was really solid.
I mean, Delroy Lindo is doing Delroy Lindo shit.
Enough.
Yeah, he's
amazing. I only wish that Delroy Lindo was 30 years younger, so he could have been like the lead in this movie, right? Like, because I watch everything he's in.
Yeah, I'm a Delroy Lindo mark. Like he's. I don't know if I can't think of a single part that he's played, and I think he could have carried. I mean, to me, Delroy Lindo could carry like Gangster Badass Brothers better than.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I mean, he's just like he has like a really.
He's an intimidating guy.
So much gravitas to him, like, and it's like it's like he very like take him seriously kind of thing, to where it's like it'd be very believable. I mean, yeah.
So I don't know about everybody. I told Jesse this, and just to take us off target for a second. I have a thing about like when people use the same actor as twins. Like I really did. The only actor I've ever liked doing that is I told Jesse is Jean-Claude Van Damme. Because that's kind of his shtick. Baby. Well, he's got. So I told we were talking about it. There are 5 movies. I don't know if you know this, Jeannie. 5 movies where Jean-Claude has played his own twin, like played opposite of him. Yeah. So it's like, but that's it because it's shtick, right?
Well,
like
you can't. Wait a second. You can't drop the 5 movies without. I know Double
Impact. You
Impact.
name the names. So it's Double Impact. 1990. So that's 1991. 96 is Maximum Risk, which I didn't even know that one. Replicant, which I just saw recently, which has a serial killer in it. That's 2001. Time Cop, which is 1994, and The Order.
Got a hand job in the movie of that one. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So he really likes playing. His favorite actor is him. And so I just don't. I think they should have had that be 2 roles. I mean, I get it. Like Coogler's worked with Michael B. Jordan a lot, so he likes him from Creed and Black Panther and all that. But I just think it should have been 2 people. But
yeah. Anyways. So Sled, that was my thing, Sled. I mean, I mentioned it to Joel, but I'm going to ask you. Was there any reason, and I'm sure I missed a lot here, Coogler has a lot going on, but was there any reason why they had to be twins, identical twins, that you could discern?
I mean, identical twins, I don't know. I mean, part of it was they're supposed to be some kind of contrast in their personalities and who they are. And I don't think like they had them with the red hat and the blue hat. I don't remember which one was wearing which. Like their style was juxtaposed, which is.
I think Smoke was blue and Stack was red, or am I backwards on? Oh, shit, I don't remember. I have to check.
I mean, are we doing a Joseph Conrad Secret Sharer duality of man, different mirror thing? Like, if so, then like, I mean, they were more.
I mean, I think it was supposed to be some representation of the approach of like. Black culture to like external influences and integrating and things like that. I mean, like I don't think it was accidental with like how they portrayed like which person, like the fates that befell the 2 different characters. I mean, I think there was definitely some like themes that they were exploring there with the way that they portrayed it. As far as like there's some subtle stuff like you'll notice when when the vampires first come up to the place and are like, oh, like we want to come play, and they like they're like, can we come in and play? And they like play that little song, right? The like Pick Poor Robin Clean song, and the one brother who ends up getting turned into a vampire, he's the more like, and he's the one who sends Haley Stant, like his girlfriend out, or ex-girl, I guess they end up together forever, right?
Right.
He's the one who sends there to look into the money thing, but he's more open. He's like, oh, they're kind of good, like that, or that's kind of catchy, or whatever he says about them when they're playing. Whereas the other brother is very much like, no, this is a problem, we don't want it. Like, and that one who's into it is the one who gets turned into a vampire and like ends up living, whereas the other guy ends up sticking to his guns and like dying at the end, literally, like he literally sticks to his guns. And like, I don't think it was an accident that that one brother also, who was into the music, his love interest was a woman who could pass, right? Like it was like, that was like, oh, there's a white woman looking at you at one point, whereas the other guy's love interest, I think I don't think she's, let me see,
her name is, the actress's name is
I love this, Joel. Yeah, do it, Joel.
Numi Saku. Mo Saku. Yeah, I think so. That's how you say that.
Yeah,
so she's Nigerian British. So I think she was definitely supposed to, and she's obviously much darker skinned. Like, she's
in Loki.
She's
like, there's a Marvel connection there.
And so I think that's also supposed, but I think that the portrayal in their two different love interests is also supposed to be saying something about their characters and about what, like, the motivations, and it's supposed to be a portrayal of how, whatever.
So Michael, the just to help everyone, because I looked it up while we were talking, Stack is red, which also is the color of Remic's eyes. He's the one who ends up becoming a vampire, right?
Right.
Smoke is blue. So Smoke is the one who is with the lady you were just talking about, who, I don't know if you heard me, but she's in the Loki series as well. In Marvel. It's actually really good. Most of the Marvel series are terrible. That one is really good. And she's quite good in it. I'm trying to think of who else. Yeah, so according to the little bit I did here, it's like red is supposed to tie to kind of what you were talking about, Michael, right? Like, it's supposed to represent like more of a close tie to Remic's character, and blue is more like a look back towards the past, those types of things. So I think there is symbolism there. It's how effective it's debatable.
Well, yeah, and there's some other stuff going on. There's a scene like when the Chinese grocer, when they first realize that there's something going on, she's like, they're like, we got to get it. Like, this isn't our thing. Like, they decide like, oh, we got to get out of this. Right. Like, and that's why she sends the husband to get the car. It's kind of like, I felt like there was a subtext there of, it's like, yeah, we are, we're both minority groups, but like, we're going to separate and get out of here and like kind of leave y'all behind to deal with this situation. And we've done our part. Well, and then the husband gets turned, and then that leads to him, like, the threat, whatever. And that's what kind of leads to the whole meltdown.
I wasn't sure. I like picked up on that too. And I wasn't sure if, so obviously there's the black white flip side to the same coin, right? But there's the Asian family that runs the marts. They're able to sort of liaise with both sides. Yeah. They literally have two of their shops, one for whites, one for blacks, across the street, and they're able to move freely, as we're shown via that beautiful shot, that tracking shot over the shoulder, back and forth seamlessly, between the two cultures.
I felt like that was supposed to represent the model minority kind of concept that's often attributed to Asian immigrants as they come to the U.S. is like being able to tread both sides of that. I think there was some of that they were looking to do. And then also with the Choctaw themselves,
cinematographer,
that was an intentional portrayal. My understanding is that they there were situations with Choctaw assisting as like slave catchers and things like that to like within the culture. And it was kind of interesting the way they portrayed it is like they came and like that guy was there. Like they knew who Remick was. They knew what he was. But like once like whatever, they're like, all right, fuck this. We're going home. Like we're staying at, like, we're not here to help y'all with. And I think that was actually, I mean, if I was going to make multiple movies, I actually probably would have started with something that was like almost like a prequel with Smoke and Stack and showing them how they got where they ended up, but also showing like Remick before this, like some backstory on that. And it could have been related to the Choctaw stuff. Like it could have been how it started out. And you could even have some other, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to try and sit here and write a story while we're doing it.
Well, yeah, but for sure,
like I think the story had a lot of potential. It's just the execution was not at the level that I.
Yeah.
And if it was a bad story, I wouldn't care, right? If it was like a bad idea, like I would think I'd be like, like this is dead end. But it almost feel like opened something up, and it's like could have baked in the oven a little longer.
Well, the Choctaw thing I thought was one of those threads that if this movie didn't have to be chopped up to under 220, as I theorize, I bet there's cutting room floor footage from the Choctaw who would come back to play later. And also then you look at the very end and when Smoke comes out and sprays down all the KKK members the next morning, I feel like if we just let him live and he links up with the Choctaw and he becomes like a vampire hunter, that would have been pretty awesome. I don't know if that would have worked.
Or even Annie with her cooks. I mean, like in theory, it's her. I mean, the Wikipedia page calls it hoodoo. I don't know if I guess that's where I'll use that term, but like her practices were what helped part of what was keeping them safe. And I mean, hoodoo / voodoo. I mean, there's a lot of syncretic religion stuff that's carried over. That's part from has African roots that I think. That's an interesting thing to explore. They could have done more with that too as part of a prequel. Like maybe there's more that happened in the past that we didn't even see, or things that things that were going on, or
she does allude to, right, it kept you safe the whole time when you were overseas or when you were in Chicago. Why didn't it keep our baby safe? But I think there's also the religious aspect of this that I haven't heard in discussion, at least the stuff that I've read and podcasts I've listened to, but like as much as this is a race thing, there's a commentary on religion there. And you talk about, she's like a root doctor or whatever, hoodoo or voodoo. But that's not, I think there's a reference from Remick to Catholicism right.
He very openly says something about how Catholicism was like rammed down their throat. Like
having him be Irish was an intentional choice for sure. Because I mean, the first Irish people coming here, they were. I don't want to repeat the line because a lot of people who are Irish immigrant descendants will be like, they were treated worse than slaves in some cases. Right. Like, no, that's really not true. Like,
but they were not treated well. Were not treated well.
I mean, they were treated less than like fully white, but they were still white adjacent. But like, there was some.
Yeah.
In certain situations, they would like feel a commonality. And I think they were trying to go with that with his character in particular. Like he feel like he's not a Klan fan. Like when he even goes to the couple's house in the beginning, like he's planning on talking to him. Then he kind of sees the Klan outfit in their house. And like, he kind of preys on that as a method to like whatever, but he's more looking for like to create a new group to some extent is what he acts like, although it's a little mixed on that.
So Michael, I was curious about your opinion on that. So I was telling Jess that I think that's one of the most interesting things that Coogler does in the script is the Remick, the vampire, using I've been mistreated by the English as well, right? My people were colonized by the English, and obviously you can't tell if his motives are genuine, but I think that is a clever way as making the villain pull at those heartstrings like that.
Oh yeah, it almost reminded me a little bit of like thinking Michael Jordan, another movie is like the Killmonger was right kind of thing.
Yeah,
There was almost
yeah,
a little bit of that going on with Remick. It's like, well, Remick's fucking right. Like he was like,
yeah. Maybe we should kill him. Yeah.
but the question is like, okay, like Remick's right. We should all congregate together. But do you lose your? I mean, I think the subtext of that is like, do the other people lose their souls and become a minion of his, and like they lose their identity really, even though they get preserved as like a group, they lose their identity.
So they're referred to not as vampires by and large as devils by the black characters, which I don't as also not an accident. I'm thinking about Coogler's vision and what he's
paints.
Well,
is what she called.
Yeah, they first think they're paints,
right?
But Coogler's vision and what he's trying to say by having them not be allowed into the juke joint, I think says more about unless I'm misreading it, is more of a rejection of that assimilation, and it's sort of combating what would be an appropriation and subsuming someone else's culture and heritage, the style, the dress, the music, the talk, the language, everything about it that you can't come in here. This is our space for us that we're carving out because we want to have a life that isn't led in obeisance, that isn't a chain gang, that we're not sharecropping,
Well, you notice, I mean, I guess that makes me think spontaneously when they do, after he has the whole, like he's taken all the people who fled basically, right, and like turned them into vampires, and like when they come and they're singing the Rocky Road to Dublin, right? Even that's an Irish song, so they've been basically at that point, and they're all dancing to it in an Irish style. So at that point, they've all basically been assimilated into his culture, and they don't have actively a lot going on. Now, that also brings up what I think is like one of the things where it's like they kind of undercut themselves, where it's like by the end, at the end of the movie, when the two vampires come back and are talking to Sammy as an old Sammy, like at that point they're like happy being vampires, and they're like in their whole, like, I mean, they have things they lament, but they're generally satisfied with their life, and they haven't been, but I don't know. I mean, I guess there's ways you could explain it, right? And that Remick is dead at that point. They're just dead at that point. Although that's a question, I think, is if he actually did die at the end or not. But
before we move on, I just want to say really quick, you guys caught who old Sammy is, right? That's Buddy Guy, the blues musician.
Yeah, Joel, you were a huge Buddy Guy fan years ago.
Yeah,
I recall.
Buddy Guy. When they asked Jimi Hendrix who his favorite guitarist was, or like, what's it like being the greatest guitarist in the world? He said, "I don't know. You'll have to ask Buddy Guy." Right. Like Buddy Guy is an amazing guitarist, and I think he is 92 right now, like 93, something like he's crazy old.
So if Coogler's intent in writing this was all about what we're sort of just starting to get into now in the last few minutes, which is autonomy and freedom and having your own space and your own culture or subcultures, your musical, your sartorial choice, all of those things. If that is the statement, then where does, and music is such a huge part of this movie, why is he choosing music as this sort of connecting thread for this? Why is it?
He explicitly talks about this idea that music is a connective thing back through the generations, right? And so I think that's what he's getting at there, is that like music is the way you commune with, your people, whoever your people are throughout time, right? And Remick is drawn to that. They say explicitly that he's drawn to that power in some way, right? I'm not sure why. Like, they don't get into that. Maybe it's because Remick wants to connect to his past. Maybe he gets power from. I don't know. They don't really say.
Well, Smoke does say at some point to Sammy, I've been all around the world. The only thing that makes any sense is power, like money and power. That's it. Just raw power
Right.
is what makes everything turn. And if you're talking about the power of music, the connective power, I'm not sure if music is good or bad, or if Coogler is saying only certain music is good or bad for the soul and for humanity. Like the church that Sammy walks into at the beginning, before we go back to the day before, and his father, the preacher there, and it's like, oh, you got to stick around here. You got to drop that life, that sinning life. That's all bad stuff for you. The devil's going to follow you home. And there's these references to like, ill repute and bad living and dissolute living and it being sort of ungodly. And then we talk about the lineage of the great blues musicians, which we have to get into. So you reference Buddy Guy who's in there, but also the guitar that he's given that we know Smoke says comes from Charlie Patton. Charlie Patton was the originator of the Mississippi Delta blues. He was the seminal blues figure. Now everyone, or at least everyone who knows whatever, knows Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson came after Patton. Robert Johnson was the one who quote unquote mastered the Mississippi Delta blues. But, so choosing Sammy as this guy, which is almost like
since you mentioned Robert Patton, or Charlie Patton and Robert Johnson, he didn't have, because Robert Johnson had the actual, went to the crossroads and got to play
Hellhounds on My Trail,
the blues from the devil, right?
Right.
Like, that's the whole thing. I mean, they made that awesome movie with the Karate Kid
with Daniel LaRusso, Crossroads, of course. Are you kidding me, Joel? How many times did we watch that?
Obviously, there's some connection with that as well. I think
we should cover it.
That Charlie Patton, in theory, they think he was probably part Choctaw, maybe.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I read. That he was part Choctaw, possibly. I mean, he's from that area. He was supposed to be light skinned, according to them.
Well, yeah, but the point I was making was the lore of selling your soul to the devil at the crossroads at midnight or whatever to be able to play music better than anyone else on the planet. It's heavily implied that that's what Sammy is gifted. He can connect and disrupt the time-space continuum, and he has ghosts of the past and the future that he can
Charlie
evoke.
Patton was supposed to be able to play all that type of there's even on his Wikipedia page says Robert Palmer described Patton as a jack of all trades bluesman who played deep blues, white hillbilly songs, 19th century ballads, and other varieties of black and white country dance music with equal facility.
Well, I tell you what, so to that point, it's funny you mentioned Robert Palmer, who I have his book, which is called Deep Blues, on my shelf upstairs, where he gets into that stuff. I mean, these guys were doing stuff that was never, ever thought of in music before. Like Robert Johnson would play... he's playing guitar, and he would, when he came in for his, one of his only recording sessions ever to New York City, he gets in there, he's got the microphone, they have the recording equipment. He takes his mic and his guitar, and he's sitting on a stool, and he turns around and takes it to the corner of the room, faces away from them behind the glass.
No one can see his hands.
They're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't want you to see how I play. You'll steal it." And then he proceeds to play the rhythm guitar and lead guitar at the same time on one guitar with two hands,
which is absurdly difficult. I go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, that was it. I was just going to say that I wish they had done more with Sammy vis-a-vis these powers. I mean, we get to see through that, which I thought was kind of a cheesy scene, but like he's playing out of his fucking mind, and he's evoking all the musicians and
the future
and the past, and you've got these chicks twerking with their ass everywhere, and you've got like Bootsy Collins, and you've got Run DMC, and all of these like likenesses from music over the time and the dance and all this stuff. But like, where was that? Why did that not pay dividends later in the movie? Like, he didn't do anything with his power.
I mean,
they would have had to change the writing some. I mean, if you're going to make multiple movies, right, you got to have multiple crescendos. So I think that would have been the tricky part in converting it into a series of sequels. But yeah, I think they missed out by not, taking some time to actually make it and to do that and do the different parts justice.
I didn't say this part yet, but so we're all saying wish he had, right? obviously we know it's like nominated for like 13 Academy Awards and so on. But they also made like $390 million. Like, so they did a good, like, people liked it. I think it's what you said earlier, Michael, where it's like, I liked it enough to where I wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, you get word of mouth. You got big names who are in it, like, obviously, and there's like some compelling performances. Like, just I mean, just the music choice. I mean, ironically, I think that the Irish music like sections were probably the most like just the way.
I thought that was a great
orchestrated,
scene.
Or like this is like, I don't know. You could watch those without watching the movie. Be like, this is a cool fucking scene. Like just the way.
By the way, Jack O'Connell.
It's very clip friendly, right? Like you can make a 3-minute sequence out of that. We were like, I want to see this shit. Like, you know, you can chop it up.
Did you
like, easy to want to watch.
Did you know Jack O'Connell, the guy who, I mean, he's also in Bone Temple and you know, the original, or the first 28 years later, but he did that Irish dance. Like, that's him doing it. Like, he was trained in doing that as a kid. So he actually did all the dance, like where he's doing the high kicks and stuff. I saw him like rehearsing it. It's insane.
Oh yeah, he's the guy. He's the fucking guy. Oh yeah, he's the character.
He's Jimmy or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's the one that the whole next one is going to focus around, right?
Yeah, a lot of Bone Temple is supposed to have him in it.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I haven't seen Bone Temple yet.
Well, what are we
we
thinking? I don't know. I'm still trying to get my head around this larger vision. I mean, obviously, you know, Coogler's criticism is accurate criticism of the really dark, you know, seething underbelly of, you know, early America, you know, post Civil War, and how blacks and people of color were still mistreated, and Jim Crow laws, and
the Jim Crow era,
right? That whole thing, and this also takes place during Prohibition, right?
Is it supposed to be during Prohibition or right
it
after?
Is.
I couldn't.
I think this is 1930, so I think
it's 32.
It 32.
It's 32. Prohibition was still going on at that point, and they steal liquor, right? They steal liquor from two different warring factions in Chicago, the Italians and the Irish, right? They get the Irish beer and the Italian wine, and they steal it, come down here and let those two fight it out. They dip on Capone, who had actually, I think, was just recently imprisoned in real life. So that tracks also with the timeline. I'm just wondering what Coogler's vision is on, like, what is he saying about America and race relations? I mean, beyond the obvious white people being awful, is he say? I mean, surely he's not promoting separatism,
I don't think that's
right?
what he's trying to say. I mean, I give him more credit that it was more nuanced than that. Obviously, I mean, he's a super talented guy. I don't think he's throwing. I don't think it was like. I don't think it's supposed to be ham-handed. I just think that the way it got assembled, like I said, it felt rushed. It felt like it wasn't fully formed, and it got delivered into a movie.
I think you might have actually kind of touched it earlier, Michael, when you were talking about Killmonger. So Jesse, Killmonger is the bad guy in the first.
Yeah, Black for Panther. Our audience, the 5 people out there listening, Jesse doesn't watch Marvel movies.
Well, yeah, because I'm not a nerd, right? Like I watch real movies.
I am, in fact,
definitely not a nerd. Definitely not a nerd doing a fucking horror movie podcast. Not a nerd at all.
Yeah, exactly. And being like, well, I've got my blues book up on the shelf over here. I'll look it up.
You'll see them.
So, you doofus. So, anyways, Killmonger. The thing that happens in Black Panther, which is also Coogler's film, I think it's very good. He sets everything up, and it's Michael B. Jordan doing a really good job as Killmonger. He basically sets everything up to where you come away being very sympathetic to the villain. Like, the villain is like He's like, yeah, Wakanda, the country the Black Panther's from, that he's king of, has abandoned people of color in the world is his position, right? Like, you're the most technologically advanced country on earth, and you don't help anyone, right? Because you hide, right? And it's wrong. And so he wants to take him out. Anyways, my point here is that I think what the type of story that Coogler was going for was to have this vampire tale where the offer that the vampire is making is like doubly enticing, because it's like, look, I hate these motherfuckers too. I'm not clan, like he says. Remember, he's like, I'm not clan. Let's build a world together and get rid of these people. I think that's what I don't know what the larger critique is beyond that, but I think that's the type of story he was going for, is to have the villain be sympathetic in that way. And so what themes come from that, I don't know. That's a little bit more difficult.
I mean, I saw it a little bit differently.
Okay.
Because, I think this comes. I was thinking about vampires and free will, right? Because at the end of the movie, I'll get to my point eventually. But at the end of the movie, when Stack and his girl meet up with Sammy at the bar years later, and he basically tells him, in no uncertain terms, like, I'm not going to kill you. I promised my brother when he, that I wouldn't do that. So you're safe, blah, blah, blah. He has a choice, right? He still kills people to get blood to exist as a vampire, but he has free will to not do that. And he's able to control himself and his impulses, which to me means Remick has those same control and impulses should he choose to act or not act upon them, and he does. He acts upon them to slaughter.
That's one of the flaw issues I get with the plot. Like, that kind of like is like Remick's. How fucking old did we say? Like, he's admitted, like, the things I saw, there's different interpretains maybe of like the thing, like
how
hundreds of years,
like how many? Yeah, so how many?
At least a few hundred years old, and then so like he's a few hundred to maybe 1,000+ years old,
1,000+
years
right?
old. And it's like, it just felt like really thin plotting to me, that like this guy's this fucking old all of a sudden just like blows it all on this one night, like big thing. And it's just like, fuck it, I guess that didn't work out. Like, I'm fucking dead now. Or like, it just seemed like that. Or like they played big on like, oh, you gotta get permission to come in vampire thing, right? Like they adhered to that thing. But then like Haley Steinfeld's character's already in. She gets let in. And these things can't be killed. Why doesn't she just fucking kill everybody in there? Like, why did she run away after like they would? Or same with like, I don't know. There was stuff like that they did with that like I don't know. And then the final fight scene. Well, that's true. The final fight scene, like with the vampires, was really fucking annoying. It just felt like plot inspired stupidity, to where it's like, how did fucking Smoke make it all the way from the farmhouse out there to stab Remick in the chest or in the back with the fucking stake? After, like, and it's like, I don't know, like that's the stuff that I think they really fucked up. Like they, like, honestly, like that stuff kind of blew the movie for me from a plot standpoint. Like, if like you can do everything in the world, but if you screw up basic plot stuff to where it's like the story feels dumb, or like what happens feels like dumb and unbelievable, I feel like it just blows all the other, like ruins all the other stuff essentially.
I agree with that, but what I was trying to as a retort to Joel's theory was they came there with the express purpose of destroying a culture and stealing its music and its customs and its
that's at least the impression we're given.
So they're all so it's not like,
I think he just wanted Sammy, right? Because that was going to bring back his wife.
Yeah.
Because Sammy had the power. Like there's like, there's people through time, they can like blah blah blah. Certain people are born with the power. Like that's why
I think either way, isn't that the same thing?
Sammy, and I'll let you all live. And that's like the other, like that's a part where it's like, okay, well, like obviously,
but he
like,
doesn't because everyone leaves the juke joint, and he fucking kills everyone anyway. He wasn't just after Sammy. He wasn't going to let anyone live.
But they wouldn't give him Sammy.
But no, he's like there could be two groups of people who are bad, right? The KKK are bad, and these vampires.
And Remic's bad.
Do you know do you know how many fucking babies Remick fucking murdered in 2,000 years or whatever? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
These guys are.
Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say what Remick was suggesting was honest. I mean it as that's his pitch, right?
Yeah.
And so his pitch is like, oh, we're going to build a better world together, blah blah blah. And you can believe me because I hate these guys and I have a reason to hate them, just like you do, right? That's all I mean. Is that's a unique pitch, and I'd not seen that in movies before.
I'm with you, Sled. I wanted to hate the movie because I hate Michael B. Jordan, but when I watched it, I did enjoy it. It does have a lot of potential. Like you said, those plot flaws and loose ends and stuff that was cut, just they detract from it. But I did enjoy it. I do like it. I really wish there were, like Jeannie said, I wish there was more vampires. I wish we got much more vampire. It all happened very fast at the end.
I thought Remick was really good. That actor is really good.
Yeah.
I feel like if there were movies that came out that addressed all that, I would definitely watch them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if Coogler did another one that delved more into it, I would 110% watch it.
And there may very well be, right?
This was what Joel and I said was we've talked about this before on the show, long form versus short form.
Yeah.
If this was like a Welcome to Derry, nine episode season, I think
it would have been amazing. 9 hours or whatever, 8 hours of this, I'd eat it up with a spoon.
I liked what they did. Now, just a little bit of the technical stuff, like the practical effects stuff. The way that they did the eyes colored, in a little bit.
Cool. I liked that.
Those were special contact lenses created. The first time they've ever been created to look like that with different colors. It's always been CGI or some other way, but these guys were wearing that. It was super cool, and I think they were saying that it actually like blinded the actors a little bit, so they were like knocking into people and stuff. Like they didn't have any.
It's.
Have you seen? This is going to be the silliest thing ever, but supposedly Coogler got he latched on to like getting that color for the eyes from watching. I have little kids, right? So it's Puss in Boots like 3, where there's like the wolf who plays Death in it. Look up the image. Its eyes go red in the same color, and he loved that, and that was why he was hooked on getting Remick that way.
That's interesting. Yeah, he had a lot of. I mean, there was an interview you sent to me, Joel, at least a clip where he was like telling us how into folk song and ballad he was, and all the Irish folk. He chose those songs specifically and stuff. And now it's interesting. And I have a good deal of respect for what he put together. I know that the people are going to be hyper corrective because it was such a big hit, and people have so many strong feelings on both sides. To look at
something. So I guess something you said made me think of like the names of I noticed that it's, Sammy, the cousin, is also like so you got Smokestack and Sammy. They're all the same family.
Oh yeah.
So it made me wonder if it's something. And then
there's got to be a reason.
Elijah and Elias, I guess, are variations of the same name, right? Like Elias is just an alteration of Elijah. So I was trying to do some spontaneous research on the relationship of Samuel and Elijah to see if maybe there was something there that was missing. But
I don't know if that's like part of it, but like the title of the movie itself, Sinners, and like a lot of the stuff they cover, like there's all the 7 deadly sins are in there, and I don't know if the different characters were supposed to represent the different sins: greed, avarice, what is it?
Lust.
Lust, covet thy neighbor. Well, I mean, it's like the biblical stuff. Everyone has their own sin, and I think that was what Sammy's dad, preacher. You're what is it? I'm not, I'm a fucking atheist, nihilist, socialist Jew, but like, don't you, when you're born, aren't you like a sinner automatically? Like in Catholicism, you're born a sinner.
Yeah. Yeah. You're born with original sin, which is why they have to baptize you. initially. Yeah.
Right. So in Memphis Slim, Delroy Lindo says, sinner like me is all I could ask for, really. Like, just basically trying to get by in the world. They're all, I think, variations of fucked up and done their dirt, respectively. So I don't know. But Sled, I'm going to bring it home unless you have formed your on the fly theory here.
Oh no, it wasn't a full on theory. I was just wondering if there was something. I think there's lots of there to explore. I just again, I like the movie. I just think that maybe there was,
and they did get a lot of nominations.
Yeah, and I just the thing that
it's a ton.
Like it bothers me almost of putting it out now is it's like you have to remake it essentially instead of like, I don't know. It's like presupposing it to where like you're now, if let's say they make something else that like fleshes it out, it makes it more difficult when you don't do it at the beginning.
In a year, I bet you we get a 4-hour director's cut, and I'm in. I will sit down.
There is and I've Googled that too. I was like, is there a director's cut for this? Because
I don't think it's out yet, but I bet you it's coming.
I totally would.
And particularly with the modern film format, it's almost obnoxious that happens because most of their movie, like they don't make most of their money now on actual theatrical releases, right? Like just because people don't go to movies as much as they used to. So I don't know how that, how that works out. But yeah, I mean, it's an intriguing storyline, and they had good, like all the performances, all the performances were good. Like, there's no performance in it that I thought was like a bad performance.
Michael B.
I love
Jordan.
this.
Jesse hates Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan.
But I think that's just because he's just he's pretty and it bothers Jesse. He's got a full head of hair.
I wish that guy. I wish that guy who is a goddamn handsome son of a bitch. I wish he believed he was as cool as his character. Like that guy doesn't believe himself at all. He's like a theater dork who grew up and is still wildly insecure despite being a sex symbol and a multi-trillionaire or whatever else. Oh, absolutely. Dude, there's a video, Joel and I talked about this too. There's a video going around from, I don't know, probably from a year or two ago or whenever. He's like on some sort of red carpet deal somewhere. And this young woman comes up to interview him or to throw a microphone in his face. And she starts in with whatever question she's going to give. And he's just like, he looks at her and does a double take and he recognizes her. And he's like, oh yeah, we went to high school together. Or no, maybe she says we went to high school together. And then he looks at her, but however it was, he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. You used to make fun of me and you used to call me such and such. Right. And she was like, oh no. And she was clearly one of those bully bitches from high school who was an awful person, but she was like, oh no, it was all good. It was all fun. Like I didn't, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, really. And but he is so fucking he's so sensitive to that he still had to bitch her out. He couldn't just have walked away from her and snubbed her. He had to be like, I remember you. Look at me now. It's like a guy, I don't want to drop any names, Jeannie, but there are plenty of people from high school who now look a lot better than they did in high school, but it's never enough for them.
Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning me.
That's right, Joel. They're still wildly insecure. That's why he's posing and posturing. That's why he has to be the coolest dude in the room, because he knows he's not the coolest dude in the room. And no matter how handsome he is, he always is insecure about himself. It is so fucking transparent that he cannot possibly pull off the role that he thinks he's pulling off, which is exactly what why I think you could have just cast 2 fucking actors instead of having 1 actor play 2. And they could have been guys you didn't know who would have given you some authenticity and some grit. That guy's not gritty. That guy, are you kidding me? He fucking shaves his stomach so he can see his 12-pack. There's no way he can play the guy who shoots a guy in the kneecap in the fucking dusty street like in the Old West. Now that guy is a different guy. Man, how are you going to make me close on this? Now you got me going. On that note, we have to go. We got to wrap it up.
Hot takes.
My producer is fucking shutting me down here. We got to go for Prime Cuts. We try to keep it short. Thanks once again for joining us. Sled season rolls on. This is the dying gasp, was his vampiric hold on the show. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.
Hello there, Gitty. Hello there, Slack. What are you doing down here? Oh, I'm just down here trying to say these boys look hot robbers. Let me hear it then. his head, take his feet. I wanted to take his body, but it wasn't fit to eat. But I'll take poor Robin clean. Take poor Robin clean, and I'll be satisfied having a family.